Of the Pacific, RIMPAC is the largest multinational naval exercise in the world, and it plays a critical role in maintaining stability and security in the Indo-Pacific region. Led by the United States Navy, RIMPAC brings together naval forces from across the globe every 2 years to conduct joint exercises aimed at promoting cooperation, enhancing maritime capabilities, and deterring potential threats. China's involvement in RIMPAC has been a topic of significant interest and controversy, particularly in the context of its growing rivalry with the United States. Once invited to participate in 2014, China was later excluded in 2018, reflecting the broader tensions between the two superpowers over military dominance in the Pacific, trade disputes, and regional influence. This video will explore the history of China's involvement in RIMPAC, its subsequent exclusion, and the implications for global geopolitics and security in the Indo-Pacific. RIMPAC is an international maritime exercise first held in 1971. It was created to strengthen the military relationships between nations in the Pacific Rim, increase interoperability among their navies, and demonstrate collective military strength. The exercise involves various training activities, such as amphibious operations, missile strikes, anti-submarine warfare, disaster relief simulations, and maritime security drills. Countries from all over the world participate, including key players like Japan, South Korea, Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom, alongside smaller nations from Southeast Asia and South America. The number of participants has grown steadily over the years, with over 25 countries and hundreds of ships, submarines, aircraft, and thousands of personnel taking part in the most recent iterations. RIMPAC's strategic importance cannot be overstated. As the world's largest naval exercise, it fosters multilateral collaboration among allies and partners, enhances maritime security, and ensures freedom of navigation in the Pacific, a region that is critical to global trade and economic stability. Additionally, it serves as a deterrent against regional threats, as the presence of such a large and diverse naval force can send a powerful message to potential adversaries. In 2014, China was invited to participate in RIMPAC for the first time. This decision came amid efforts by the United States to engage China more constructively, particularly in the military sphere. At the time, US and China relations were still relatively stable, and there was hope that involving China in RIMPAC could lead to greater transparency between their militaries, reducing the risk of misunderstandings or conflict. China's participation in RIMPAC 2014 was seen as a significant gesture of goodwill, signaling an openness to dialogue and collaboration despite the ongoing disputes in the South China Sea. 4 Chinese naval vessels, including a destroyer, a hospital ship, and a supply ship, joined the exercises. The focus was largely on non-combat operations, such as humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, reflecting a cautious approach to China's involvement. However, even during this period of cooperation, there were signs of tension. China sent an uninvited surveillance ship to monitor the RIMPAC exercises, raising concerns among US and allied officials about China's intentions. While China justified this by citing international law, the move highlighted the underlying mistrust between the two countries. China's participation in RIMPAC was symbolically important, as it suggested that the US was willing to engage with China despite their growing strategic rivalry. It also allowed China to gain valuable experience and insights into the operations and capabilities of the US Navy and its allies. However, the goodwill generated by China's inclusion would not last long, as geopolitical tensions began to rise in the following years. In 2018, the United States made the decision to rescind China's invitation to RIMPAC. This marked a significant shift in the relationship between the two countries, and was largely driven by China's increasingly aggressive actions in the South China Sea. Over the previous few years, China had been expanding its presence in the region by building artificial islands and militarizing them, deploying weapons systems, and fortifying its claims to disputed territories. The South China Sea is one of the world's most important waterways, with trillions of dollars in global trade passing through it annually. Several countries, including Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia, have overlapping claims to parts of the sea, but China's sweeping claim, outlined by its controversial 9-dash line, has brought it into conflict with these nations. The US and its allies have consistently opposed China's actions, viewing them as a threat to freedom of navigation and regional stability. China's militarization of the South China Sea was the primary reason cited by the US for withdrawing its invitation to RIMPAC 2018. The Pentagon stated that China's actions were inconsistent with the principles and purposes of the exercise, which are to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. The exclusion of China from RIMPAC sent a clear message that the US would not tolerate behavior that undermined regional security and international norms. China, for its part, reacted angrily to the decision. The Chinese Ministry of Defense described the move as unconstructive and claimed that it would only lead to greater tension and mistrust between the two countries. Beijing also accused the US of attempting to contain China's rise and of using RIMPAC as a tool to advance its own strategic objectives in the region. The exclusion of China from RIMPAC is emblematic of the broader strategic competition between the US and China in the Indo-Pacific. As China has grown more powerful, it has sought to expand its influence throughout the region, challenging the dominance that the US has traditionally enjoyed. This has led to a growing rivalry, not only in the military sphere, but also in areas like trade, technology, and diplomacy. China's military modernization has been a key element of its strategy in the Indo-Pacific. Over the past 2 decades, China has invested heavily in expanding and modernizing its naval capabilities, with the goal of projecting power far beyond its borders. The People's Liberation Army Navy has grown rapidly in size and capability, with new aircraft carriers, submarines, and advanced missile systems coming online. This has allowed China to assert its interests more forcefully, particularly in the South China Sea and East China Sea, where it has territorial disputes with neighboring countries. In response, the US has strengthened its military presence in the region and deepened its alliances with key partners like Japan, Australia, South Korea, and India. The US has conducted regular freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea, sailing warships through waters claimed by China to challenge Beijing's assertions of sovereignty. At the same time, Washington has sought to enhance its relationships with regional powers through initiatives like the Quad, a strategic dialogue between the US, Japan, India, and Australia, which aims to counterbalance China's growing influence. RIMPAC remains a central pillar of the US's strategy in the Indo-Pacific. By bringing together a coalition of like-minded countries, RIMPAC demonstrates the strength of the alliances that the US has built in the region. The exclusion of China from RIMPAC is a clear signal that the US and its partners are prepared to confront China's assertiveness and defend the rules-based international order that has governed the region for decades. Looking to the future, it is unclear whether China will ever be invited to participate in RIMPAC again. The rivalry between the US and China shows no signs of abating, and both countries continue to compete for influence in the Indo-Pacific. While some analysts argue that including China in multilateral exercises like RIMPAC could help reduce tensions, others believe that China's exclusion is necessary to send a message that aggressive behavior will not be rewarded. At the same time, the Indo-Pacific is becoming an increasingly complex and contested region. With both the US and China vying for influence, Smaller countries in the region are being forced to navigate a delicate balancing act, seeking to maintain positive relations with both powers while avoiding being drawn into their rivalry. The future of US-China relations will likely have significant implications for the security and stability of the Indo-Pacific. As the two powers continue to compete for dominance, exercises like RIMPAC will remain important tools for the US and its allies to demonstrate their commitment to a free and open Pacific. In summary, the evolution of China's participation in and exclusion from RIMPAC reflects the broader shifts in the global balance of power. Once seen as a potential partner in fostering regional security, China's increasingly assertive actions have led to its isolation from key international military exercises like RIMPAC. Meanwhile, the US and its allies continue to use RIMPAC to strengthen their partnerships and demonstrate their resolve in the face of China's rise. As the Indo-Pacific remains a crucial region for global stability, the dynamics between China, the US, and other regional players will continue to shape the future of international security. Whether through cooperation or competition, the role of RIMPAC will be central to these developments. Do you think China should be invited to future RIMPAC exercises to foster dialogue and cooperation, or should it remain excluded due to its actions in the South China Sea? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinions. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on global security and geopolitics. See you in the next one.